Hello. Great. So let's talk a little bit about deploying your static site. Deploying your static site to GitHub via GitHub Pages. This is an option that I often recommend uh, to anyone, beginners and students, and I use it myself all the time for projects that don't require a backend, or if they require a backend, even if they do require a backend, if the backend is hosted somewhere else. Um, Even with React, I'll definitely go through how to do it React next phase because it's a little bit different, but it's a really simple, almost automatic way to get your site up in the world. It gives you a URL that's based on your GitHub account, but you can also give it a custom URL if you like, and make it just look like a regular website because it is. In fact, the one I used yesterday, I think, to fill in some sample text, that's a website that I made. It generates automatic text. It's hosted at a URL, and it is hosted on GitHub Pages. So let's talk through how to do that a little bit. Actually, let me grab my. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab the thing I did yesterday. See where that is. That's a repo, and that is in. No. What was that? CSS test. Maybe the Flatiron. Mm, where did I do it? Visual code. Where did I save that? Recent. CSS test. Yeah, look at that. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and share the screen actually so y'all can see what's going on here.
I'm not sure.
Did not ask for your input, Echo. Great. So this is my desktop. We can chat over there. Again, if anyone knows how to automate this in the future, that'd be great. Cool. So here is the little CSS site that I put together. It is super dead simple. Let me.
I'll show you. Oh.
There we go. That will pop that open. So there's my generic blog. Look at that. So assume this is a site built in JavaScript and React, not React, HTML, JavaScript, CSS, static stuff, doesn't have any backend components, and it all works. It works in localhost, so we should be able to host it on GitHub. I don't think I've added this to GitHub yet. I have not. So let's look at what that looks like. So that part's not important. Cool. So if I can tell that it's not in GitHub yet because there's no .git directory. If there's a .git directory, that means that Git is tracking all your files and it is a repo. Also good if you happen to have a project that you either got from somewhere else or maybe generated it from something that automatically puts a Git repo in it that you don't want. It's a good way to see if that's there or not. But we do want to Git repo. So I'm going to say, I'm going to make a new repo out of this. So I'll Git init, and now we can see that there is a Git directory and that has all the fun stuff that Git has in it. That you can, if you want to dig into the insides of Git, it's fun. So upshot, we have a Git directory. I'm going to add my files, and I'm going to, and I can see Git status, that those are not committed, but they are ready to be committed. They're staged. So let's go ahead and commit. And my message is going to be initial commit. Cool. And we can see down here that I am on main. I can also say git branch, and it'll show me I am on main, the only branch. So how do we get this onto GitHub? Let's make a new GitHub repo. Bloop, and calendar, goodbye. So I'm going to go into my GitHub. Nope, not my Gmail. GitHub. And I'm just going to make a new repository. It takes a second. Cool. I'm going to do it as myself. I'm going to call it 13023 GitHub hosting demo. Right. And I'll just make it public. I'm not going to add anything else to it. So let's create that repository. Bing, bang, there it is. So there's an existing repository, so I can just copy and paste that stuff. You can type that all out if you want, but it's the same every time. So this is my main branch. And if I go back here and reload, here it is. Great. So I have a repo. It doesn't have a README file. That's fine. Repo on GitHub, repo locally. They're hooked up. So how do we host this? Easy. Go to settings. And they have moved stuff around recently. Pages here is what you want. And cool. So here's a choice you can make. Deploying from branch is probably what you want. Right now, it's not deploying at all. So I can select main, and it's just going to deploy from root. If you have another directory, so if you have some sort of build process, or if whatever you have, like a /build directory or whatever you want to call it, you can tell it to treat a different directory as the root, which means it's going to look in your /build or /docs or whatever folder for the index.html. Right now, I'm just going to have a look at the main branch, and it's going to look at the root. So that's going to be looking at the main branch here. It's going to look at the root of that repo, and it's going to look for index.html for that thing there. I don't know what this is. GitHub Enterprise, not interested. So I'm just going to save that there, and it will say, so changes have been saved. Great, love to see it. If you have a custom domain registered, so you would go to Namecheap or whatever else you like, everywhere except for GoDaddy because they're awful. Get yourself registered. You can put that in there, and there's pretty much, I think you just have to put in a file in here called CNAME, CNAME, all caps, and just put your domain name in there and put the domain in here, and that should all work. You might have to set your DNS to GitHub, but I'm not worried about that right now. Having HTTPS is good. It'll keep browsers from complaining that your site is not secure or marking your site as a spam site. I don't think you have to do anything extra here except for keep that box checked. Great. So all those options we're going to leave alone. And right now it says, here is the important part. Your site is currently being built from the main branch. And so that just means it's in the process of doing it. If we reload, hey, it has hosted it. So my site is live at basically my GitHub username.github.io/the repo name. Let's visit the site. Look at that. And any of you can go to that site and see that my blog is hosted there. It is a mouthful, but I'll paste it in chat just so people can see that I'm not lying. Clever ruse. And that's basically it. There is no step 3. Yeah, it's just that easy. So if you want to host your project, it should take you like 5 minutes to do it. And you'll get a URL that looks like your username.github.io/your project name. And if you want to send that to me, I'll put it in my spreadsheet. If you want to send it out during your presentation tomorrow, other people are going to look at it and play with your site. What if your site runs off of a db.json? Good question. That is going to be different because the db.json is basically acting as your back end. So you would need to host that somewhere that hosts backend stuff. So if your site is running off of a db.json and a web server and a JSON server, I used to recommend Heroku. Oops, where are we? Uh, Roku.com. They used to be great. They got rid of their free option recently, which is really sad because I still have a lot of work to do to transfer some stuff over there. Um, you'll see in the curriculum in phase 3 that we're going to be hosting on render.com. And if you want to go here, you should be able to hook it up so you can get a little free account there. You can drop your JSON file there, and I haven't done it on render yet, but you should just be able to give it something that says when you start up a JSON server looking at this. That'll give you a URL, and basically you're creating an external API that your site will hit from GitHub. So basically, GitHub Pages is just for static stuff that doesn't need a backend. If you're hitting an API, so if you're only hitting an external API and not keeping stuff in a DB.json, you can still do that. But otherwise, yeah, this is just for static sites that don't need any backend unless you have that backend hosted somewhere else. And I think that's basically it. The other thing I wanted to talk about here, and this is something that you might want to do in general, is the deploy branch stuff. So if I make a new branch, get checkout -b deploy, say. So this has all the same stuff as my other one. And we can see, where are we? We can see, and now I have 2 branches here. Oh, if I push the branch. And if you don't have, there's a setting to automatically tell it to create a remote branch. If you don't have that set, it might ask you to type a command in there to push that branch up. In that case, type that command. But now I should have a branch up there, deploy, and right now it has the same stuff. So what I like to do is have a deploy branch. In the settings for the pages, I'm going to deploy from deploy instead of root. And now I can go ahead and get checkout. How about that? Great. So now I can do stuff in my main branch. I can edit things to my content. I can make feature branches and merge them back into main. I can do bug fixing. I can try out some styling stuff. And the deployed one will not change because this is deployed off of my deploy branch. Then when I want to make my changes, I'll switch to deploy. And I will merge main into it. And the fun thing is, if it's hooked up to GitHub, when you change the branch, it will see that something is new and it will redeploy your new stuff. So if you just want to edit stuff in main, that's fine. Right now it's off deploy. So I like having this deploy branch strategy. Yeah, there we go. So you can still mess around in main and change things without worrying about it changing your live site. Yeah, that's all I have to say out loud about it. 15 minutes worth. Hit me with questions. What more do you want to know about this? I went through this pretty fast, so if there's anything you want clarification on, hit me.
I have a question. Is there like a limit to how many static sites you can create, or just that's
Yeah,
cool.
you know, I have so many. Maybe not so many. I have at least a dozen. But yeah, you can. I mean, if you're doing like tens of thousands, they might be like, "Hey, do you want to sign up for an enterprise account?" But I don't think anything that we're going to do is going to bump up against that limit. Get a soft limit.
I have a question. So when people deploy a static site do people share the link as their portfolio, or do you like share the link on your LinkedIn or?
Yeah. So if this is a portfolio piece, I'm really proud of my little penguin page. I would add a README file here. So that would be, you can do it here, you can do it from your repo and then push it up. But just like say, here is my super sweet blog. Making a new commit. If you want to see that locally, you have to do a git pull. To date. So you would put basically kind of the documentation that you did for the project pitches. You have your project title, a paragraph about like, hey, this is what this project is and what it does. Maybe a cute graphic. Maybe if it's working on if it has commands you need to do, document those there, and basically just making it a README for your application for your site. And then people can both look at your GitHub repo and see what it is there, and also include a link to, so I'd be like, here we go. In my README file, I'd say, check it out. Can't remember which one. Check it out. I think that does it. Let me. Nope. How do you do links in here? Let's do this for now. I use a different markdown editor that does links differently, so I can never remember how to make links work in here. But yeah, so do this, add, git commit, push. And now in my repo, people can go to my repo and say, hey, check it out. There it is. And if you want, you can put your links to both the repo and the hosted site in your LinkedIn, or I just have a bunch of links like in my root here. So if you make a repo named after your username and add a README to it, it'll show up in your main GitHub thing. So here's a bunch of things that little dumb projects I put together that are in various states of badness. So you can just put it on your main GitHub site. You can post it to LinkedIn. You can make a separate portfolio site, host that site, and have that link to everything else. There's a billion things you could do. Did that answer what you're getting at, or did I just go off on a tangent?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Cool. What else?
This question might be like super specific to our project, but basically I did a Google Maps workaround thing without doing the API. And so in the console, I get this error that says like loading the Google Maps API without a callback is not supported. It still works, but would like deploying a site that has like a angry Google message still work?
Yeah, I mean, if it works, it works. As long as no one's looking in the console for messages, and as long as they support it working without that callback, should be good.
Cool.
I haven't used Google Maps API in a couple of years, so I don't know what the current state of that stuff is. But yeah, as long as it works without you running it back end, it should work just fine.
Cool. Yeah, basically, I guess you're supposed to have like an API key for using Google Maps API, and I just did an iframe with it instead, which is janky, but it works.
Well, little sketch, but it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that's going to come up are API keys and what to do with them. If you are using an API key in your JavaScript on the front end, the JavaScript is getting sent to the browser no matter what, which means the API key is getting sent to the browser no matter what, and there's really no way to hide it from someone who's interested in it. So if you're doing a front end API key type of deal, you can publish it to your website and your repo. If it's a back end thing, definitely not. But for now, for the next 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks at least, you should be totally good to put keys and stuff up if you want. Yeah, I wonder if I can show you example of one of the ones I have. I think it's that one. Yeah. So here is yeah, look at this. Here's my little README as a lorem ipsum generator. It says altered a little bit of antiquated language that is not okay from those stories, but basically, grabs text, throws in a JavaScript page, and mushes it up, and it is hosted on GitHub pages. It's not at the bottom anymore. And I have a oh no, I guess it is. Yeah. So I have a site that is pointed to this. I'm not using that. No, I'm not using the custom domain here. Weird. I'm just doing a redirect from my site. Cool. Yeah. So you can do it that way too. If you have a domain registered, you can fuss with the DNS to just have it point to this. So that's what this does. So I don't have the CNAME in it. I know I have one to do the CNAME thing. I don't know off the top of my head. So let me see. Is it the Orion one? Where was I? Nope. This maybe not secure. Nope. It is so many repositories. Oh, spell it right. There we go. Website. Yeah, and here's that CNAME file I was talking about. So in the settings, I have it going to a custom domain. So I register a domain, putting this in here. And then the only thing I need to do on the GitHub side is make this file here called CNAME. And all it does is it has the name of the URL in it. And that should hook you up there if you want to hook up a custom domain to it. Cool. Any other questions we have? I haven't done this for JSON server sites yet, so I'm gonna do some research. I know you can do it, but I haven't done it yet, so I'll look up how to do it, and maybe we can do a little demo on that for next phase when you're hosting more integrated stuff there. So I think that's all I have for y'all. Last call for questions. Feeling good? Cool. Awesome. So I'll post this in the usual places. It'll be in the channel and on my YouTube channel for this class, the playlist for this class. And yeah, otherwise, if you have any trouble hosting stuff, give me a holler on the channel so other folks can see it. And great. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see y'all in a little bit.